Well, good morning, everybody. This is awesome to be able to be standing up here as my first ever DAC days in the general manager position. Being able to look out, I believe this is our largest crowd that we've ever had, being our 40th anniversary year here. I want to thank everybody this morning for coming out. Those of you that don't know me, I'm RJ Jacobs, son of Randy Jacobs, the owner. I joke around and I tell everybody that I've literally worked my way from the bottom to the top, and I don't think I'll ever hit the top. I don't think my dad will ever fully retire, but I'll be underneath of him. So I started working for DAC about 7 years ago. I was a junior in high school, and I kept telling my dad, give me something to do. What can I do? And I had a little Chevy pickup truck, and he got me in contact with Trapper, and I was the delivery guy for Trapper. I would go down as soon as I got done with school. I would go down, I would meet Trapper. He would have a list of deliveries I could make that were all within an hour of the warehouse here. And I would go do deliveries every evening until it was about dark. And my mom would call me 9 times out of 10, are you coming home soon? It's getting dark. And so I started doing deliveries. Then when I came into college, I scheduled all my college classes on 2 days so I could work as many days as possible. The problem was, when I was working, I decided I really don't want to go to college. And my mom and dad were both twisting my arm. You have to go to college today. You can't stay back and work. So I did my warehouse work, did my college degree, and then when we were coming around, I actually have 1 semester of college to finish yet, but Barbara Ray, who used to cover a territory for us, decided she wanted to retire. And I ended up getting put into that position. I covered in the sales territory of Southern Indiana, Kentucky, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. It was a big role for me to take over. I joked around yesterday, we had a meeting in the office with our staff, and it was one of the most humbling things I've ever done. I came into a territory where a lot of people liked Barbara, even though she retired. I had a lot of people that didn't want to work with me at first, and it took a lot of change for me to figure out the best way that I could handle all of that. And so I worked in that territory for rated about 3 years, and my dad has now decided he wants to take a couple steps back, not fully back like I said, and I got moved into the general manager position at the end of last year. So this is my, like I said, first DAC days, being able to stand up here with the mic in my hand and actually have a little more role than a territory manager, so I am a little nervous, but I think we'll get our way through it here. I'm looking forward to this day. I think that being it's the 40th anniversary, we have some great speakers here. We have some new stuff to release that is going to set us from the next level to even the furthest level I think that we can keep going on. Yesterday, like I said, we had a staff meeting, and we had everybody in there, and Andy Ellsworth, who was our top sales rep, he told everybody to write down their 2 goals to go through with 2023. And my big ones were knowledge and teamwork. I think that if you're not trying to gain knowledge and keep learning, coming to meetings like this, putting on your own meetings so we can pass that knowledge on, you're going to end up a step behind. And me taking over this role, I feel like there is an unlimited amount of knowledge that I have yet to gain. And I'm honored to be able to stand up here to work with all of you guys, and I'm gaining knowledge. Last night we stood around and talked, and the knowledge that I gained last night alone just by talking and mingling with everybody was part of none. And then the last one, like I said, was my teamwork. I think if all of us work together, it's not really a job, it's fun, and it makes it a team. When every one of us out here works together, our team in the office works together, everything just falls into place. And with that being said, I would like all the DAC staff to come up front here, and we're going to introduce everybody that is kind of behind the scenes who actually does all the work. A lot of you guys might not know every rep, and you for sure might not know the ladies that are in the office or the guys that are in the back doing all the work. So if you guys would just come right here. We'll start out. Our warehouse manager, kind of property manager, runs the whole show back there when myself or my father are not there, is Furman Yoder. Next here we have one of our territory managers. Tiffany actually took over the Florida-Georgia territory and also part of my territory that we divided up. So that's Tiffany Schoaf. Then a lot of you might know, we have Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky would be Everett Troyer. Front desk, who does a lot more than just work the front desk, does a lot of orders. A lot of you guys that might call in to place an order would talk to Josie, or we call her Glenna. Then we go to Katie McGrain, who is one of our sales reps up in the Northeast. Does a very good job for us. Then the one who deals with probably the worst pain is my wife, Aubrey. She handles all of our NASC compliance stuff and then all of my day-to-day stuff that I feel like I stack more and more and more onto. Then John Hisrick, he works in the warehouse with Furman. He's right underneath the Furman in charge of all the day-to-day. If you guys put in orders, John and then Ethan, they are doing all the freights, getting all the small packaging orders out. They're the day-to-day guys that get every one of the orders out, as long as Furman is helping them as well. The biggest one here is my Aunt Tina. Not that, sorry. My Aunt Tina puts this on. She has been busting her butt for the past 3 months on getting this. I don't think she slept at all this week or last week. She makes everything flow. If it wasn't for her, my dad and I, we probably wouldn't even have shown up today because we knew it wouldn't have been done perfect. She makes sure everything is the way it needs to be. She keeps all the sales staff in line and makes sure that this gets put on the way that it should. And I thank you very much, Aunt Tina. The next one we go to is Trapper. He is our Ohio and West Virginia sales rep. Does a great job. Trapper been with us for 26 years. Is that correct? Longest sales rep. He actually called on my father. I remember Trapper pulling up in the DAC van, which we still have that DAC van back at our warehouse when I was a little kid. And he'd always get out, have a sucker for me, something like that. And so I remember Trapper coming when I was just a wee little guy. But then we go to Doug Landon, who is our Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, kind of the South Midwest area down there. We go to our social media manager, my sister Molly Jacobs, who also deals with a lot more than she probably should have to with me and my dad pushing stuff onto her. And then we have, I'm going to skip one. I'm going to go to Andy Ellsworth, territory manager, who is our top territory manager now for how many years in a row? 5 years in a row coming in this year. Doing a phenomenal job. And the one that I skipped is the one who really gets the nitty gritty, the hard part. The phone calls when people aren't happy. The phone calls when the reps aren't happy. When my dad's mad, when I'm mad, is Deb Wallach. She is my dad's secretary. If we could all give her a hand. She is there through the thick and thin. I tell her all the time, Deb, you need to take a vacation. Like, take some days off. She never will miss a day. It doesn't matter if she's sick. She goes in, shuts her office door, and says, don't come in. I don't feel good. But she is there working. She is there through everything. She has to deal, like I said, with all of us. If something doesn't go right in the warehouse and inventory's messed up, Furman might be mad. Deb's always there for it. She takes the blunt of it all. And so thank you very much, Deb. And thank you. We're one other person that didn't make it today. Her mom fell and broke her hip, is Mary Blair, who would be our out west territory manager, does a very good job for us as well. And obviously, we have my father in the back, Randy Jacobs, who owns a company, and standing right to his left would be Dr. Dern and Dr. Cubitt, Performance Horse Nutrition. Pretty awesome to get both of them to be able to come speak today. So if we would, give a round of applause to everybody here that works on our staff behind the scenes. Like I said, we want to thank you guys very much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come in today. We're going to go over a few housekeeping rules here, kind of hopefully make things flow as easy as they can. If you guys plan on picking up your order today, you all have order forms in your packets. Please put on there you would like to pick it up, or if you would like to ship it, there's a spot on there to put ship. If you guys want to take, we're not going to try to take partial orders. If there's some stuff you would like to take, please just fill that out on a separate order form, and then the part that you would like to ship, please put that on its own order form and put ship on it. We can add the totals up, run them together under one account, but so we can make things easier for the office back there, we will do that. Everybody that's here today, you will receive your 6% discount. This includes your bulk pricing if it applies. If you do your 50 bag order, you will get to the 7% discount. This is on the oil this year. Canine products, hair care products, and the only thing that it does exclude is the show contender products. If we do ask if all orders could be paid today, so we can get that taken care of. Our plan is this year, I moved our annual DAC Day sale to start on Wednesday. For every one of you that come here today, your order will ship out of our warehouse by Tuesday at the latest. You guys took the time to come out here today and support us. I will make sure that your orders are all shipped out by Tuesday. 90% of you will have them by the end of next week. And so I thank you guys very much for that. And lastly, if we would, please silence our phones. And everybody's already in their seats. And we have one other quick thing that we are going to watch on the big screen here, and then we will go ahead and get started.
In 1983, the Direct Action Company was founded. The goal was to create innovative supplements for equine and livestock. Since then, we have pushed the science of supplements. We're a founding member of NASC, and we partner with the best manufacturers and scientists in the world to develop and produce our products. "2023 marks 40 years of business for DAC. In that time, we have pioneered growth that has shaped our industry.
"40 years is a long time, but we're just getting started. Our products feed champions, and we are taking that success into new markets. We are now offering into the pet industry, bringing our groundbreaking science to the animals we all consider family. And that's not the end. The DAC product line continues to expand into new territory. As the brand continues to grow, the legacy and values will never change. The DAC name defines quality, and our products make a world of difference.
I guess we're on. Yep, we're on. We're live. Okay, good. Well, like RJ started, thank everybody for coming. How many in here today is a first time here at DAC Days? We have quite a few. Good, good. Well, thank you guys for coming, and all of you. I've seen many of you many, many years. Where do I start? They said, it's our 40th anniversary this year. And, I wasn't involved 40 years ago. When the company started back in 1983, I was 21 years old. A lot has happened in the last 40 years. And I guess I can move that. Bear with me here. Okay. So, in 1983, I was 21 years of age, and that's actually when I became a full-time horse trainer. So I would think probably most of you know that. That's what I did for a living from 1983 clear up to 2015-16. I was very fortunate to do something that I loved my entire livelihood, and was able to raise our 4 children. Growing up doing the horses, our daughter still shows today. Our daughter-in-law still shows today. Horses have been my entire life. I worked for an individual for 3 years, and then in about 1986, I went to Texas and I worked for Ted Turner, who's an icon in the quarter horse industry, one of the top 2 as far as the number of world champions. I tell people that was my college education. The time I spent there, about 4.5 years. And then in 1990, came back to Ohio and started our own business, my wife and I. I was very, very fortunate. In the business today, if you're not doing well, you're not going to stay in business. So I was fortunate to have good people behind me from day one. I met a fellow when I was in Texas, and he started sending me horses right away. And I thought I was going to do the Appaloosa business. And my interest or my customer base started out with the quarter horses. And I came back from Texas, and I had 7 horses within a week's time. And within a year's time, I had 20 head of show horses in a training barn, and we built the place where we are today. So I was very fortunate to have people that were behind me from day one. When I started back on my own then in 1990, come about in 1991, around that time, Trapper and Bob Cleaton came to my place. And this is where Dak comes into my life. My dad had used Dak when we had one product, Direct Action. And it was delivered in a 5-gallon bucket. I remember my dad being in the arena, and at that time, Bob Cleaton delivered that bucket, or actually, I think Vernon Slayball. Vernon is not here today, but Vernon has been a dealer from almost day one. He actually brought it when he come to shoe our horses. So I had knew about Dak, and like I said, they had one product then. But then Trapper and Bob came to my place and introduced more Dak to me. I think maybe I had got a hold of them and said, I was going to feed oats and alfalfa hay, but I needed something to balance the diet, and I did halter horses, so hair coat was very important, and I had heard about the Dak oil and what it did for a hair coat. So then Trapper became my sales rep for many years. And, I would ask him a lot of questions about certain situations, what products to use in situations. And Trapper was a big, big part of my success. Whether he knows it or not, I always tell him, but you talk about a humble person. Trapper's not a gloating and bragging type of person, and he always was behind the scenes. He never wanted any notoriety, but I'm telling you that Trapper Troyer was a big, big part of my success in the horse industry, and for me to stand here today. He was behind me 100%. When I needed something, I would just call him, boom, hey Trapper, man, I'm on the road, I need something now. And I think he dropped whatever he had and he come to my place. And you don't find many people that'll do that. And I was pretty new, but he was there all the time for me. And he helped me learn about the Dak products. He would come to the barn and we would talk and BS, and I would find it I was having success with the product, and then I would tell him, I think I can, feed a little more of this, and man, I'm seeing huge results, Trapper. And it come then to several years after using the products, people were bringing me horses that had problems. Or I would buy a horse that had problems for my kids to show or a customer because I realized I could fix them. In about 1994 was a huge break for my career. I had a chance to buy a 2-year-old gelding that had been on the show circuit as a yearling, and he had bad epiphysitis. And a very well-known top trainer that had many world champions from Illinois, he gave up on the horse, and he told the owner to take him back. He's never going to be right. And I had heard about that. I had seen the horse as a yearling, and again with Trapper's Health, the Colt Grower, the CMZ paste, and yucca, and oil, and you name it. I had a customer that wanted to spend the money to buy the horse. And at that point in time, the customers paid $12,500 for that horse. That's the most I had ever asked a customer to spend for a horse. I was just, because I knew that pressure was on me, I had to make this work, and the horse had issues. He couldn't stand up in his front legs. He had bad epiphysitis. And so I took that horse home. We bought him in December. I took him home, and by the end of April, we had him qualified to go to the World Show. And people saw him at the horse show, and they'd be like, wow, what did you do? You did something. There's just something, I don't know, that Dak ain't going to fix that. And I fed him oats and alfalfa hay. And like I said, the Dak products, the three that I fed the most to him was Colt Grower, CMZ Paste, and Yucca. And that horse ended up being a world champion. And then that fall in October of 1994, I was a grand champion gelding at the All-American Quarter Horse Congress, the largest single breed horse show in the world. And that really launched my career. And from that point on, people started asking me more and more and more about Dak and how I fed it and what products to use. And I told people for a long time, it's just some mineral. It's just a vitamin mineral, not much to it. It was a secret to my success for many, many years. I didn't want to share any of my secrets. I was in competition. I don't want to give my secrets away. And so that's really what made me a true believer in Dak. When I saw the results that horse had, we sold him for over $50,000. That horse went on to be a multiple world champion for the new owners. And probably in that horse's lifetime, he sold probably for close to $250,000. And had I not took the chance and bought that horse, that trainer sent him back to his owner in Columbus, Ohio, and that owner turned him out, and he'd have rotted in the pasture had I not went and got him. So I feel also, horses have been my livelihood. And I've been so blessed and fortunate to do something I enjoyed my entire life. And I give that horse a chance. I give him a show career. And so I was very, very, very fortunate. And again, that's what made me a believer. And I went on to use Dak for the next 25 years. And I always thought that Dak had possibilities that were endless if somebody just took them and shared with how to use them and how they worked. No disrespect to Bob and Shirley, God rest their soul. They both have passed. But they never had a horse. Bob started a company with a veterinarian. A short time into it, that veterinarian passed, and Bob ended up with the company. And throughout the years, Trapper would say to me, as Bob and Shirley were getting older, he would say, you ought to buy Dak, Randy. You've used it. You know how to use it. And I had a really good business. I had a breeding operation. Furman, for those of you that don't know, has been with me since he was in 8th grade. And I think Furman's 42, 43 years old. So he has been a big part of my operation from day one. He worked in my show barn. He ran the breeding operation. He traveled all over the country with me. He was a sales rep for Dak when I bought Dak and got rid of the breeding operation. And now he runs the day-to-day warehouse. I have been so blessed with the people that I've had behind me. I couldn't do what I do if it weren't for people like Furman. And as RJ mentioned before, a lot of these people that are standing up here, I've always said, it's not me. It's not the person that owns a business that's successful. It's the people behind those people that are very successful. You surround yourself with good people, you're going to be successful. And I've been very, very blessed. So, Trapper started just putting the bug into my ear. And like I said, I wasn't interested. I was still showing, loving what I was doing. And as time went on, I thought, maybe the opportunity's there. And my wife and I visited about it. We prayed about it and prayed about it. And finally then, in 2007, we took a leap of faith and became an owner of Dak. And I had a couple partners when we started out. I actually had asked a couple guys that were customers of mine in the horse business if they wanted to partner with me, because I still wanted to show horses. I didn't have the time to go and spend with Dak. And both of them just felt like they didn't know where they could fit in. And so time went on, and I didn't know the people behind Dak, our dealers, our vendors that made it work. And I needed somebody within the company, I felt. So I went to Rob, the son of Bob and Shirley. And Rob became one of the partners, and this all took time, and lunch dates and just meetings, and it was taken away from my business because I had a barn full of horses, and it kind of drug on for a little bit. And one day Rob calls me and he said, "Randy, I want you to meet somebody." We met at Dutch Valley Restaurant, and I met a guy by the name of Jim Rhodes, and the three of us became partners. And a short time into it, Rob had been with his parents, with Dak, for 12 years. And I'm a very big family person. As you see, pretty much all my family's here. And I didn't like how Rob spoke to his parents. And very disrespectful. And I didn't want him involved anymore. But Rob knew all of our vendors. And I was between a rock and a hard place. So Jim and I kind of hit it off. We both like sports. I coached high school wrestling. I played high school football. And so we met one day and we said, something's got to change. And thank God, Rob came to us the next day before we ever said anything, and he said he wanted to leave. So it became two of us. And for many years, when we bought Dak, there was a lot of things that we had dealt with. Just a lot of things that we were kind of unaware of, and it wasn't easy for a while. So we'll go ahead and play this. Technology is great when it works. I thought Reuben was going to throw me off the place. When I first went there to visit with Reuben after Jim and I bought the company, I thought Reuben was going to throw me off the place. And I didn't think he had much use for me. And I'm being quite honest, and I think he would tell you the same. He thought us young bucks, 10 years, that was quite a long time ago. We were a little bit younger. And he thought we were going to turn it upside down and change it and ruin it. And what else do you think we were going to do, Reuben?
A little more to the story on how we got started and why I didn't like anybody coming around and trying to sell me this, or have me using me for a dealer. The guy that originally started had one product called it Direct Action. And after I used it for 6 months, he interviewed me. He had somebody sitting there taking notes. And when we got done, I said, "What are you going to do with that?" "Well, I may want to use it for an ad sometime, but I won't do it without your permission." I said, "Okay." So it was maybe 6 months later. My wife opened up the budget. Most people know what the budget is. And all the way across one side of that budget, in bold black, it said, "What does Mr. Reuben Schrock feed his buggy horse?" And I don't need to tell you I wasn't very happy about that. And I called him and I told him that we were done doing business. Well, so the next guy that took that, somebody else bought it off. They would come to my place trying to sell it to me. And I said, "No, I'm not interested." For a long time I didn't live that budget thing down. I'd meet guys at home, guys that knew me real well, and they'd say, "Oh, what does Mr. Reuben Schrock feed his buggy owners?" And I knew that would happen. But anyhow, once I agreed, I'm not even sure whether they ever told Randy this or not, but I said, there's only one way that I would agree to take leadership of this, and that he already had some changes made. And that is if we call it something else. I said, we cannot call it direct action to me be a dealer owner. I've been harassed about that so bad. So we decided if we'd abbreviate direct action, DAC, direct action company. So it was called DAC.
When I first went there to visit with Reuben after Jim and I bought the company.
There we go. So anyway, kind of keep going. You can see how when I first went to Reuben Schrock, who was one of the original dealers of the company, it was a hard sell. So we had a lot of hurdles to climb and to get over. And then in comes, in 2010, Dr. Dern and Dr. Cubitt came into the picture. And we bought DAC, and like I said, the fall of 2007, really 2008, right there. And I was still, for the first 8 years, I still showed and trained. And we had issues with, formulas needed to be improved and labels issues. We had a stop sale in Texas, and I wasn't aware of how to change it or what that even meant. And so I knew we needed help. And again, the whole time I'm thinking, we're gonna get over all these hurdles, and the product still works, and we just need some help to take it to the next level. And I'm probably of you, the guys that have been around and heard me talk for the last 15 years, know that I'm a very competitive person. And I wanted to have the best supplements we could have. And at that time, I had heard about Alltech. DAC has been with Alltech since day one. And I was really good friends with Russell Gillum, and still am to this day, who worked for Alltech at the time. And I said, the big thing that came to me was when we had an issue with the labels. And I said, man, we need help. I had actually had a horse in training for Russell and his family at the time. And I said, we need help, somebody to help with that. And then come in and improve the products if they could be, help us develop new products. And little did I know at that time that this relationship would develop into what it is today. So Russell, he got a hold of Dr. Lyons, who was the founder of Alltech and the owner at the time, and I ended up being able to develop a relationship with Dr. Lyons, who now has also since passed, and his son Mark has taken over that company. But Dr. Lyons said, he actually called me personally, he said, there's one man that you need to get a hold of, and that would be Dr. Dern. And that's how Performance Horse Nutrition came into the picture with DAC. And that was in 2010. It seemed like it happened a little sooner than 2 years. But they came into the picture then, and we became co-sponsors of the World Equestrian Games that were held in Lexington, Kentucky. That was the first time they were ever held on U.S. soil. 4 years later, they were in Normandy, France, and we were a co-sponsor then as well. And it just seemed like from that point on, when Performance Horse Nutrition came into the picture and really started helping us improve products, develop new products. And, I was hearing from the grapevine, and, you hear bits and pieces and people chatter, and, nobody would really come to me, but there was concern that, and we're not headed in the right direction. They're changing a lot of products, and for some people, change isn't good. Sometimes people don't like change. And, some people think, well, if it's not broke, why change it? And I've always felt, if you can make it better, we're going to change it. And Dr. Dern and Dr. Cubitt have always known that and, had my back. I've had their back through all the changes that we've done over the years. So at that point, it seemed like to me, in 2010, the company really started to roll, and people started hearing more about DAC. But I still believe to this day, and still traveling around, I hear people that say, I never heard of DAC. So when sometimes, we say to ourselves or to our team, well, how much more can we grow? I think there's still a huge, huge opportunity to continue to grow. And in 2015, I retired from showing horses. My wife said I could no longer burn the candle at both ends. She said, you got to make a decision, Randy. We can't continue doing this. She wasn't seeing me. I wasn't seeing her because I was gone all the time. When I wasn't in the barn, I was on the road traveling with the sales reps, growing the company. And I still enjoy to this day. But I also say, as the older I get, I'm becoming a homebody too. I love my wife. I enjoy spending time with her and our family. And so I decided that, RJ was a senior in high school, and I had missed many football games over his career. And if you've heard me talk before, people probably heard me say this, but my dad, when I was in high school, never missed a game. And then when my own son was in school, my job was showing horses. And Friday nights, I was at horse shows all over the country. My sister Tina, a lot of times she would Facebook me live so I could watch his game from afar. And that's hard to do. There's nothing like being there on a Friday night to watch your son play or your daughter cheerlead. My daughter was in Texas A&M on the equestrian team, and I was missing meets because my job was to show horses. And trust me, I loved it. I'm so fortunate and blessed that I'd done something I enjoyed and loved. But I finally decided, okay, I'm going to be done with the horses so I can never miss a game his senior year. And that's what I did. And I haven't looked back since. I still love horses, but now I get to go see many different breeds of horses. In May of this year, I'm taking the whole DAC team to the Kentucky Derby in the Oaks. So I get to see so many different breeds. I enjoy going to Mount Hope to the horse sales, of all the different breeds. I like going to Dover and anywhere I can go to see different breed of horses. And before I was, pretty much in the quarter horse industry. And from 2015, I just devoted 110% to growing the company and sharing. And, prior to that, my wife would tell me, man, you're making your job really, really rough, because I started sharing my success and the products that I used and how to use them, how to feed them. And I'm not a salesperson. I wouldn't want to go cold call for all the money in the world. I wouldn't do it. And still to this day, I don't ever bring up DAC to anybody unless they ask me about it. That's just my nature. Some people probably feel I'm standoffish or whatever. I just, if they ask me, then I'll talk to them, but I don't push it upon anybody. And I tell our salespeople that all the time. Don't go there and talk about DAC right away. Develop a friendship, and then the DAC will come. But develop that friendship first, and you'll have that person as a friend for a long, long time. So in 2018, we became sole owners. Jim bought him out, and it's just continued to grow. We weren't in a good place at that time. I'll be honest with you. I'm sure some of you know my partner I had became disloyal to me. And I had full trust in him because I was outgrowing the company, working with our sales reps. And I've always said, and I still believe this, and we don't do it. We don't badmouth other companies, other products, and I won't badmouth my partner, because for many years he was good to me, and he helped me, run the day-to-day. And when we first bought the company, it was a struggle for many years. And I put my nose to the ground and kept forging forward. And with all the people you've seen up here today, we've had tremendous, tremendous last several years, last 5 years, and it just continues to grow. In 2022, we became a corporate sponsor of the All-American Quarter Horse Congress. That, again, is the largest single-breed horse show in the world. Over the years, I got my AQHA specialty judging card. So I've been fortunate to judge the World Championship Quarter Horse Show numerous times. I've judged the Paint World Show. I've judged the largest fraternity they have in Australia. I've judged the Quarter Horse Congress. I've decided this year I turned down the World Show and the Quarter Horse Congress this year to judge. And I told my wife and my kids, I said, I'm done judging. I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it. But I'm going to step away from it because of Dak. You would be surprised how many people I hear the grumbling. I'm not going to use his product no more. He didn't place my horse very well. And, people can be very small. But not to jeopardize the company, the future of the company, I'm going to step away from judging. And it is what it is. I would never, I go in a ring and I judge the horses just like I see them. I don't care who's showing them, if it's my best friend. My best friend judged the World Show last year, and I still show horses for people. I still enjoy it. But he was my low score at the World Show last year, my very best friend. I ended up being a reserve world champion with the people here in Ohio that owned the horse, and he was my low score. And I tell him before the show ever started, put me where you think the horse needs to be. Do not give me any favors. And I've always been that way. But anyway, that the judging was something that I really enjoyed. But I'm going to step away from that just for the benefit of the company. I want the company to continue, and I don't want it to have a bad rap by anybody. In 2022, you heard RJ up here earlier. I guess I'm very proud to say, and see him standing up here, there's a part of me that doesn't want to let go, but there's also a part of me that wants to enjoy life. My father today is in a memory care center, and it's hard to go visit him. He worked his whole life to provide for his family, and I've told my wife and kids I want to enjoy life. And so it's time to step away some and turn it over. And I've been very proud of how RJ has taken over. And I hope that you will all bear with him and support him, guide him. And don't ever be afraid to call me if there's a situation you're not happy about. My wife and I spent 2 months in Florida. She had a hip operation in December, in which we were able to go to spend 2 months. And there wasn't a day went by that he didn't call me at least a half a dozen times to ask me questions. I'm always going to be here to support him and help him. Dr. Dern and Dr. Cubitt have given him so much support and help. All of our sales staff have been behind him. And he's a young kid. He's 25 years old. But just like Ruben, he wasn't too happy with the change in the company at the time. He didn't appreciate me. He wasn't very welcoming at all. But as I sat here and over the years, Elvie, Ruben's son, is still one of our top dealers. From day one, there's a large percent of you in here that have been a dealer with the company before I was ever in the picture. And I think that speaks volume after the company's 40 years now. And we still have dealers today and that have started with the company. Vernon couldn't be with us, Slayball, but he was one of the early dealers as well. So in 2023, this year, my wife is going to retire after 34 years of teaching. I tried, I begged her to come today because it might be my last time to stand up here and speak and kind of still hold the reins. I'll still attend DAC days. You're not going to get rid of me that easy. But she has been so devoted to her job. She has over 300 sick days built up over her 34 years. And the school's only going to pay her for 60. So she'll lose all those other days. And I begged her to take a sick day to come here today. And that's not her nature. She's not going to. She puts into her job just like what I have in my career in DAC, 110%. You can ask our kids. They give her a hard time about missing a day for this or that. And that's not my wife. So she's going to retire. She told me last night she has 51 days yet till she can retire. And I tried to get her to retire a year ago, and she just said, Randy, that's not me. This is the last time I'm going to do this. This is the last time I'm going to do that. And when we came home from Florida on Tuesday night, she said, I'm ready to retire. She said, I've enjoyed my career. I still enjoy it. But she said, after being away and coming back, she goes, I'm ready to retire. And it finally gave me a peace of mind because I didn't want her to do something for me. But she goes with me when we go see our dad, my dad. And, you know, it's tough on both of us. It's tough on my family. I have 3 sisters. And I couldn't do a lot of this without my sister Tina. RJ mentioned what she has done for this company. And, you know, Tina was a sales rep for me when she lived in Florida for a few years. And so she has been a big, big part. I think I've pretty well covered it, and hopefully you've enjoyed it, and I haven't bored you to sleep. I think there's one more chart. You can see the growth that the company has had over the years. I don't need to mention dollars, people know, but you can see it's a steady growth over the last 15 years that we've had the company. And if somebody would have told me that it would be where it is today, you know, I'd have been floored. But as I said when I started becoming an owner, and through all the hard times, you know, tough times make you stronger. And you get knocked down, but as long as you can fight and get back up and keep going, you'll be successful at whatever you do. And I only think that with, again, Dr. Dern and Dr. Cubitt and everything that they have done for DAC, that we're headed in a tremendous time. The next 15 years, I think you'll see this chart just continue to climb. And with that, I'll end it with that and just say it, and we are just getting started. Thank you.